Part 1 of Schubert and His Work. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by David Wales. Schubert and His Work by Herbert F. Peyser. Part 1, Foreword and Beginning. And he joins the Sängerknaben. Foreword. A sense of helplessness and futility overcomes the writer who, in the limits of a volume as unpretending as the present one, endeavors to give the casual radio listener a slight idea of Schubert's inundating fecundity and inspiration. Like Bach, like Haydn, like Mozart, Schubert's capacity for creative labor staggers the imagination, and, like them, he conferred upon an unworthy, or rather an indifferent, generation treasures beyond price and almost beyond counting. Outwardly, his life was far less spectacular than Beethoven's or Mozart's. His works are the mirror of what it must have been spiritually. Volumes would not exhaust the wonder of his myriad creations. If this tiny book serves to heighten even a little the reader's interest in such songs, symphonies, piano or chamber works of Schubert as come to his attention over the air, it will have achieved the most that can be asked of it. H.F.P. Schubert and His Work. The most lovable and the shortest lived of the great composers, Franz Seraph Peter Schubert, was doubly a paradox. He was the only one of the outstanding Viennese masters, unless one chooses to include in this category the Strauss waltz kings, actually born in Vienna, and though there has never been a composer more spiritually Viennese, Schubert inherited not a drop of Viennese blood. His ancestry had its roots in the Moravian and Austrian Silesian soil. His grandfather, Karl Schubert, a peasant and a local magistrate, lived in one of the 35 towns called Neudorf in Moravian Silesian territory, and married the daughter of a well-to-do farmer, acquiring by the match a large tract of land and 10 children, of whom the 5th, Franz Theodor Florian, was destined to beget an immortal. At 18, Franz Theodor, who was born in 1763, determined to follow the example of his elder brother Karl and become a schoolmaster. He went to Vienna and secured a post as assistant instructor in a school where Karl had already been teaching for several years. In spite of starvation wages, he married, 1785, Maria Elisabeth Wietz, from Zuckmantel in Silesia, the very town whence the Schuberts had originally emigrated to Neudorf. She was a cook, the daughter of a master locksmith, and she was 7 years older than her husband. The couple had 14 children, 9 of whom died in infancy. The survivors were Ignaz, Ferdinand, Karl, Theresa, and our Franz Peter, who came 12th in order. A year after his marriage, Father Schubert was appointed schoolmaster of the parish of the 14 Holy Helpers in Lichtental, one of the 34 Viennese suburbs, or Vorstädte, located at greater or lesser distances from the inner town, which in those days represented Vienna proper. The schoolhouse, unless it has been demolished in the late war, still stands. Franz Theodor took lodgings for himself and his family a few steps away at the House of the Red Crab, zum Roten Krebse, Himmelpfortgrund 72, now Nussdorfer Strasse 54, and since 1912 a Schubert museum, owned by the municipality of Vienna. Here Franz Seraph Peter was born on January 31, 1797, at 1:30 in the afternoon. Father Schubert's position was far from lucrative. In fact, it offered no salary at all, nothing but a tax of 1 gulden a month per child levied on the parents. And yet this inflexible, God-fearing pedagogue imposed such merciless economies and Spartan discipline on himself, his family, and his pupils that he not only managed to make both ends meet, but when Franz Peter was 4, to buy the school
Sample complete. Ready to continue?